coming from Chicago and the Philippines. A comprehensive review of the week's special community events, featuring many exciting personalities, handled by the most professional Chicago Philippine Reports TV staff.
Via Times, vital news, vibrant views for the Filipino Asian communities in Chicago. Via Times for your most interesting and exciting reading and your party coverages. Via Times has very interesting columnists. You name it, Via Times has it. Law, Filipino news, dentistry, immigration, humor, serious opinions, health, beauty, mysticism, Bata Corner, showbiz, and intelligently written editorials. Call Via Times at 773-866-0811.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Objective Viewers portion of the show. And I'm Joe Mauricio. This afternoon, believe me or not, I have two good-looking guys as my guests, and they can tell you about themselves later. My left is no other than Mr. Skippy Miserable.
Good to see you.
And on his left is no other than Colt Seaman. Seaman, yeah. Hey.
That's actually how Joe always introduces himself to me. Hi, I'm with two good-looking men. This one's Seaman.
I love it. So, guys, you recently came back from Asia with this beautiful movie, documentary that you did, right?
We did, yeah.
And tell us more about your experience filming the show.
Sure. Well, the show is called Gonzo. It's part of what we hope to be a travel series, traveling to sort of unknown and unexplored places from around the globe, and trying to really dig deep into what life is like for people who live there. You know, what is the society, the history, and what is it in the modern day. So Colt and I got on some motorcycles from the 50s, and we rode from the northern border to the southern border of Laos over the course of 10 days, and got into some antics and deeper truths along the way.
A little bit of trouble.
What kind of trouble?
Trouble and our bikes breaking down every 2 miles.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
Skippy had the worst motorcycle of all of us.
Yeah, Colt thinks it's because I'm not as mechanically involved as he is, but I think it's better.
But they were like these Russian-built motorcycles, so you just had to take a hammer. and
Did
hit
you
them.
rent it from in Laos?
No, we actually had them gifted to us. So we got dropped sort of in the middle of nowhere. We didn't really know where we were. And we kind of stumbled upon this Hmong village, right? So the Hmong are a separatist group in Laos, which, interestingly enough, historically, the U.S. military armed and trained them during the Vietnamese War to fight cross-border. And now, as Colt pointed out to me when we were there, one of the biggest Hmong communities in the world outside Laos is actually in his hometown of Minneapolis.
Minnesota, yeah, massive Hmong community there.
So are they also trained or?
Yes, very trained cooking.
That's right. They're going across the border, sneaking in underneath the Hudson River into Wisconsin and causing all kinds of tumult.
Well,
Joke.
tell us more about the history in making of the film.
Yeah, interestingly enough, so the idea started right here in Chicago. I was a political operative. I was running political campaigns, and I've always had a really healthy interest in geopolitics in the world. And it's sort of been my feeling for a long time that young people are not as involved or informed about the world as they should be, both to the detriment of the world and I think to us as Americans. And sort of had this aha moment where we said, we were sitting around the campaign office and we said, we could keep doing this and we might have some effect in 10 years, or we could get out and do something immediate. And we came up with the idea to do this TV show. I worked with one of our co-producers, Paul Scheffler, on the concept, bringing in this idea of gonzo journalism. And for those of you who don't know, gonzo journalism started with Hunter S. Thompson. He's a very famous writer who lived in what is now my hometown of Aspen. And rather than just dropping in somewhere and quickly looking at it and writing a piece, he would actually embed himself and live in the situation. So, for example, when the Hells Angels, the motorcycle gang, were new, he went and lived with them for 2 months, covert, nobody knew it. He took his personal experience, his journalistic rigor, and then, frankly, a bit of creative license to create a narrative or a story that better represented what that group was as a whole. And we thought, this would be really interesting to do in the modern day in the rest of the world. And so at that point, I reached out to Johnny Zeller, who was a college friend and roommate of mine, and he decided to come on. We found the crew.
Yeah.
Colt has been a long-time friend of both of ours,
Yeah.
obvious co-host. I went out, I found some financing, and so the team was made.
Yeah.
And, you know, almost unbelievably, we got it done, and we shot it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
we got the
Very
band
nice.
back together.
Yeah, and so, you know, we got through the pilot, and now we're looking to partner with somebody and make a full series out of it, and boy, we're excited.
Did you have anybody that signed in yet as a partner?
We had an initial investor for the pilot,
Uh-huh.
and so now we're sort of back here, so we can start meeting with people. So we haven't
Uh-huh.
done that yet, but if anyone is interested out there, certainly
Yeah, well,
we're
hey,
looking to partner with
anybody-
somebody.
looking for
So you
partners.
come right here, and yeah, I think we
Call
got
one
something
of
great.
us.
Call me. I'll go back.
Well, any negative things that happened to you in that part of the country?
No, it was surprising. We thought like we would have to get in some areas that are going to be a little troublesome because we're going through all different parts of the country. We didn't know if we were going to run anything, but it was actually quite built up in a way. I thought it was going to be more rural, but then at the same time, the people, the communities were so welcoming of us that if something happened, like his motorcycle broke down, I know there was 30 people around him fixing his motorcycle, whipping
Really?
out their
Just
motorcycle,
strangers?
ripping parts off their bikes, putting on
Yeah.
his bike. And I was like, wow, this is great. You go there and you have a NASCAR team right here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Colt said, you know, you go into a lot of areas where you don't expect to be greeted with really anything other than hostility, and what you find is quite contrary. We were in an area near the Vietnamese border where historically during the Vietnam War, the American military frankly dropped bombs on a lot of innocent people, and you would expect as an American going into that
Yes,
situation to really be derided or to be a target,
Yeah.
and what we found was nothing but welcoming people. We ended up at a Baki ceremony, which is a ceremony for welcoming guests. First people from the U.S. to have this happen in a small town, and they had it for us. We didn't ask anything. They just invited us, and they did it. And the living that they made, the reason they were able to afford to give us dinner is they would melt down unexploded American ordnance and
Really?
make silverware, and
Oh
that's
my
that's
God.
how they made their living. But yet here we are being invited into their home. So it was amazing. Yeah.
You know, being an American, I figured that there's some negative thing, but nothing. Huh?
We really didn't. I mean, I certainly have in other places that I've traveled to. You know,
We've
we.
definitely been hated in different parts of the world just for being an American.
I mean, we both
Yeah,
travel
yeah.
a lot, right? Colt is a photographer. I'm a writer, and so I think we've had those experiences. But on this trip in particular, I mean, it was all since we shot this. Colt, where have you been in the world? List
All
it off.
over.
List it off.
I've been all different parts of Europe. I've been back to Southeast Asia. I've been to Japan. Been to China. I still have not been to Africa. I need to get over to Africa.
You got to go to the Philippines.
I need to go to the Philippines.
But what's next for you guys?
Well, so it's a great question. Tomorrow we're actually going to be revisiting our first season. We had outlined it before, but frankly it's been a little bit over a year now, and so the world's changed a lot. So
It's crazy how much the world will change in a year.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
I know for me, I would be very interested in going to the Middle East right now. I actually, aside from the show, and maybe it could be an episode, I'm going to be traveling to Iraq, Kurdistan,
Iraq.
Iran, and then taking the old Silk Road back from the Iraq, Syria, Turkey border back towards Istanbul, and that's sort of that transition, right, from Middle East, Asian to Eastern European countries and cultures.
Well, if you're in Turkey, you're almost Asia in there.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
right. Istanbul's actually
Yeah.
on the isthmus. It literally is
Yeah.
the physical, cultural, historical
Exactly.
divide of the continents. Makes
But
it really interesting.
the things that you travel with a motorcycle, right?
Yeah, a lot of times.
How do you transport all this equipment to film all?
Colt can tell you all about Pelican cases.
Yeah. I'm also known as a case master. I love cases. I love putting everything in nice little areas. I also am a huge fan of Tetris. So being a fan of both those, I can put stuff into cases and all the equipment into a few cases.
Yeah.
What would happen to the project if the natives got wild and robbed you with all this expensive equipment?
If they stole it.
Really good insurance.
Also, a great new reality show called Native.
Yes.
No, ever think of something like that could happen?
There's a potential anywhere in any
Yeah.
part of the world. It doesn't matter where you are. You could be here in the United States or in a different part of the world or in a third world country. Actually, I feel safer in most third world countries than I do here
Really?
in America. Yeah.
And Colt raises a great point, right? Like we're sitting here in Chicago now. I talk to people all the time and say, "Hey, I'm going to North Korea," where I've been recently, and they'll say, "Well, you're definitely going to get killed." But the reality is that despite the lunacy
All
that
those
is that country, the murder rate, the crime rate is exceptionally small. You are in a very controlled environment, and I could go not very far south from here and see one of the highest murder rates in the world in the city that I grew up in.
Yes.
And so I think that's the thing that's important to understand is you cannot quantify a country by a single idea. Every country is diverse. There's different regions, different peoples, different ethnic makeups, and I think that's a complexity that's lost on a lot of people, and that I hope we in some way through the show can sort of begin to chip away at that perception.
Well, that's something nice and good, and really, for us, that never travel to places like where you travel, be a good lesson for us to
Sure.
to see, even to watch the movie.
Yeah.
So I want you guys to continue doing what you're doing. It's fun, and getting news from you is here. What's happening in something like North Korea. I really fear going there.
Yeah.
But what you said is just really amazing. It's surprising, really.
Yeah.
But anywhere else you're going? Like you're going to China?
I've been. I actually since the show, Colt was saying, I've been to Russia, China, Mongolia, North Korea, Singapore, Gaza, West Bank, Israel.
Yeah, right. I want you to
Mexico.
go back there now in Gaza.
I would. Yeah, I would go back. I would. I'd be very interested to go now in particular.
The ceasefire might end when you get there.
I mean, yeah, it very well may, right?
Yeah.
But to
Yeah.
see that situation in flux, to see people's perceptions of both Israel and Hamas change fluidly on the ground, I think would be really interesting and worthwhile.
Are you
information.
going to put that thing on film? What's really going on?
I mean, that's the purpose of the
A
show,
good
right?
parade,
We want to take you to places. We want to take you to places you wouldn't go yourself, so that you can see the reality of it.
Yeah, I want you guys to go to Tibet or Nepal.
I'd love to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tried to go. I rode my motorcycle. I rode an old motorcycle through Kashmir, Ladakh, northern India, and I was planning to go into Nepal and go to Everest, and I actually had to come back early for work, which
You're
is a
going to
strange
climb
thing to say.
the Everest? You fly?
I wasn't going to climb it. I want to, but I didn't have my permit. It's like $25,000.
Really? To get there?
The permit just to climb.
It's that much.
Yeah,
$25,000?
something like that. I don't know,
To
but
climb?
it's expensive.
I would just start walking up.
Who's
No one's
going to
gonna see
check
me.
you? Who's going to check you right in the middle of the...
I'm pretty sure that they patrol it pretty strictly. Yeah.
So what else is next? Any more exciting things besides...
Well, Colt is working with his own company called Culprit Creative.
Yeah.
But he can tell you what they do, and I'm working on an international news startup called Real World Reporting, which you can see at realworldreporting.com. And I think we're both making our waves in the world and trying to get this show moving forward.
All right.
I really
So
want the show.
anything
Yeah, I
else?
know.
Anything else that you would like to convey to our viewers?
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to be involved in any way, if you want to have input on where we go, what we do, what we see, if you know somebody who might want to fund this show so you can watch it in perpetuity, please get a hold of us. My email, actual email, skippy.mesero@gmail.com, skippy.mesiro@gmail. I will respond.
All right. All right. And last word. Colt.
Ooh.
Seaman.
No, please, if you really want to sponsor our show, it would be tremendous because we want to show you the real world.
And I guess from what you said, you really covered half of the world already.
Oh, not half.
Not
Not
half,
even scratched the
no,
surface.
not half.
But, we will be working diligently to expose as much as we can given the opportunity. And I really want to thank you for having us here, Joe. It's
Well,
been
hey,
a pleasure.
you're a friend, but and I want nothing but success. All
Thank
right?
you.
Again, this is John Mauricio saying, Mabuhay!
Do I say that?
Mabuhay!
Mabuhay!